Oh man, I am so happy with the progression of this anime. This 45-year-old guy just made the best decision in his life, period. This anime is just full of tension, full of pressure, and I honestly feel like such a relief after this episode. So things like she's really pushy. She's really pushing it. She's really trying to get to know him. She's really trying to get closer to him. But of course, he knows his boundaries. He knows the laws. He knows the stigmas behind this situation. And it's not every day that this happens to anybody. I wouldn't want to wish this upon anybody, not even my worst enemies. So the decision he made here was just so perfect to Tachibana's situation. So Tachibana here, she's feeling pressured. She's still pretty young. She's still pretty new to life, to say the least. She doesn't really have any life experience. So everything she's going through, it just hits her like bricks. It hits her like bricks. When you're young, everything hits you with bricks. Like, you're really emotional about everything that happens. You feel like the world is collapsing around you. You feel like the world is your enemy. You feel like everything is just trying to kill you, which it is. But at the same time, it's not that serious, guys. So here, we see her breaking down. And then, of course, he answers to her feelings. He says, I'm the only one that can really protect her right now at this moment. Protect her innocence. And pause.
Bruh.
Yeah. But anyways, so here you can see, he gives her a hug, which, yeah. yeah, it could have gone south, guys. It really could have gone south, but I think our boy, the manager, what's his name? Kondo. I really do think Kondo made the right decision by friend zoning her. This dude, he's 45-year-old manager of a family restaurant. So yeah. Family restaurant named the Garden Cafe. And of course, we have our girl here, Tachibana Akari, right here, 17-year-old high school sophomore. What the bro? Oh my god.
Bruh.
Oh, bro, it's even worse than I thought. 17-year-old sophomore. So she's still a sophomore, guys. 17. God damn. But yeah, the emotional damage could have been serious.
Emotional damage.
And so, of course, he gives her a hug to console her. And thank God that this happened. This was a pivotal movement that changed everything in their relationship. Because here, while she sees this as a very intimate moment, as he accepts her as not just as a friend, but as an employee and someone who's not a nuisance. Because in this entire time, the tension just been all time high. He always says to himself, I'm 45 years old. I'm too old. I have no ambitions. I have no goals. And of course, he has a kid. He has a family. And of course, he has himself to worry about when it comes to the law. And so this entire time, she just realized that she could have been a nuisance. And so she felt like a huge burden to him in general. And so here he's like, you know what? You're not a burden. And so he gave her a huge hug here in order to, show her that she's not something that has been bothering him. She's not really an issue. She's not really a problem. And that the situation they are in is not that big of a deal. And that realistically, all he can really do is calm her down and say that, you know what? We are just friends. And friend zoning her, so he really did the best decision he could have made of the situation. Pushing her away would just make things worse. It would probably damage her, and that's not what he wants. He knows that she's still young, she's still innocent, she's still growing. Her psychological is not there yet. And so during this whole situation, it was just really delicate. It was just a really delicate situation, and she was really feeling down, and he didn't really want to push her down the rabbit hole of just darkness, of total rejection. So I believe this was probably the best case scenario. This was the best decision he's ever made, period. That's not something, that's easy to control, especially when both parties are really emotional. And that's, what really sucks too is like this motherfucker's sick. He was sick and was still able to make a rational decision. You can see here, he hugs her, and of course he pushes her away and says, oh, that was just a friendly hug as friends. And of course, that's the other thing, guys. It's like not every relationship you can just jump into. You don't be like, oh yeah, I like you, and then you guys just start dating. No, sometimes, it starts out with friendship, especially when you're just getting to know one another. When you're just starting to actually, get to know each other. She really doesn't know jack shit about him. She really doesn't know anything about him still. She probably knows a little bit here and there, but for the better, like, let's say they probably known each other for what? A good 3-4 months. She's probably just been working at the restaurant for like what, 3-4 months maybe. I don't even know, bro, but it's not that long. 3-4 months is not that long. You still gotta test the waters, and to make matters worse, they really can't date. They really can't see each other that way because she's still 17. She's still a sophomore. As you guys can see here, who tends, like a high school, she is an odd and reserved person. Because of this, she has problems expressing her emotions. There's all people around to misunderstand her. She was once the top of the athlete in a women's track and field club at her school, but due to a severe foot injury during a race, she was forced to give it up. She harbors vague regret and bitterness about leaving the track and field club. Therefore, she continuously tries to avoid anything related to it, even contact with her former teammates. So you can see here she has this tension as well. She has this history as well, and he has to, as an old dude, he's like, damn, I gotta deal with this shit. She started to work as a part-time waitress in a family restaurant called the Cafe Restaurant Garden. Afterwards, there she meets Masami Kondo, the manager of the restaurant, a 45-year-old divorced man. So you can see here, he said, we're as friends, and then he collapses just from being sick. After seeing her down, Kondo tries to talk to her. The conversation becomes a turning point for Akiri. As she regains hope, she starts to fall in love with him from that point on. So yeah, her love is extremely strong, but I'm so happy he puts the brakes on it. Even though she is, in love with her, I'm pretty sure as a woman, she will be patient to accept his love later on. While him, he has no choice but to be patient. And it sucks too because he has no self-confidence. You know what I'm saying? Like, he could plan this shit out. Be like, you know what? We're going to be friends first. And then after you're 18, we'll see from there. He really needs to have a little bit more self-confidence as a man. He needs to be more of a man and see that there's only one life we have to live here. And if she's really falling for him, there's really no harm, no foul when it comes to love, especially when you are after 18. As you can see here, even here, he expresses very discreet, he doesn't beat around the bush. He says, we are friends. We see each other as friends. So here in this restaurant, he tells her, we see each other as friends, to everyone actually. And so yeah, I think he made a huge, probably the biggest, greatest choice of his life within episode 7. Of course, I saw episode 8 already. This is episode 7, where I believe he made the greatest choice he could have made. Of course, she gets sick here, and of course, she recollects the whole situation. What a episode. This was one of the greatest episodes. But that is all, guys. I'm so happy for my guy. Finally friend zone her, which is the best decision. And now there's less tension in the air. We can finally move forward with the story, and they can finally get to know each other little by little with not so much pressure. But that is all.